incident investigations that fail to go beyond blaming the worker and retraining the worker.
Amen.
Now, that's sort of cutting edge. It gets often repeated, because of Conklin and Decker and Reason, and they're working its way into undergraduate studies and that kind of thing. But
Blame, change,
holistically,
and retrain.
That's a Conklin phrase, right? He probably stole it from somebody else, right?
Probably, yeah.
And that dude's not getting any cuts of the book.
That's right.
Right? But holistically, I still see it. And we can talk about things academically. And even among professionals that say those things, I find that is easy, and it's often done under pressure of a hiring client wanting an immediate root cause to close the file out. That's real everyday safety. Jimmy got 3 stitches. Why did Jimmy get 3 stitches? I need a root cause analysis and corrective action plan on my desk in the morning with the instant investigation with pictures and all this other stuff. And what I really think it is a total lack of understanding on how to conduct a proper incident investigation. If I could change anything about in graduate school and in undergrad, with all due respect, Linda, I don't need an industrial hygiene class. Because if I need an industrial hygienist, I'm going to call you. But what we do need is a really good incident and accident investigation with root cause analysis class. Mm-hmm. There are all these theories, single factors theory, domino theory, Swiss cheese model theory. Look, let me be honest with you. It's always multiple factors.
It just depends. Yeah. I think it's a mix of several different types of investigation, 5 whys, multiple causations.
And I'll use whatever technique meets the scenario. But they all have a common thing, right? And the more you dig, the more you find out that there's influencers. Mm-hmm. You got direct causes, indirect causes, and then indirect causes of the indirect causes, and
But you want to know those things, right? Because the more you know about those things in the first instance, if it happens again, you might be able to level down the influence of the things going on around the process. Right?
I think if you don't, you leave latent risk within the operating system.
Absolutely.
It's just hiding like a snake. And then one day it bites you.
What I often find is people are looking for that one thing. Once we get to the point, I'm not going to use tip of the spear, but because that's the Marines, right? Once we get to the point, we find that one thing that made this go wrong. We're done, right? And if I could teach one thing, I would teach people to be open-minded enough to keep looking, right? I understand you need to get an accident investigation written up and on somebody's desk in 24 hours or 48 hours or whatever, right? But if that's the case and that's part of your job, then you need to dig, and you need to dig deep, right? And you need to have a broad mind for what could be influencing this system. Right? You don't have a stove, right? And you go to turn on the knob of the stove and it doesn't work, right? And it's a gas stove. Let's say it's a gas stove, right? And there's multiple causations there, right? It could be the flow of the gas. It could be the flow at the street. It could be the igniter. It could be the knob is broken. And all of those things could have caused that. And you need to get that done in 24 hours. All of those things should be on that sheet. All of them.
Probably the easiest one with an example is related to back injuries. And I know as an industrial hygienist and, expert in the field of ergonomics, it's going to pique your interest, right? So this is a novice talking to a professional when it comes to it. But how many years have to go by for us to understand that back injuries which is a leading cause of workers' compensation claims, right? Back injuries, are not going to be corrected by training someone to lift properly. So when I look at incident and accident investigations, almost exclusively, if it's an injury related to lifting, almost exclusively, meaning 100% of the time, the root cause of the incident is improper lifting, and the corrective action, I'll let you answer it. What do you think it is?
Lift correctly.
Always training.
It's
They
training.
lift
Yeah.
wrong.
Lift correctly.
Let's go back and tell them to lift properly.
Yeah.
Now, when we do that, we're missing opportunities to find prevention in design or through design, implementing engineering controls, administrative controls, two-person lifts, even administrative control. Well, why do we got to lift this thing that weighs 100 pounds, man? Can you ship it to us in 10 pounds?
Yeah, innovative technology, right?
Innovative technologies. But that's where our incident reports and accident reports should be leading us. But many times that gets closed out. We blame the worker. You didn't lift properly. Bro, I've been lifting nonstop for 8 hours straight in 110-degree heat. You don't think that's a
We'll
factor?
give you a break. We'll give you a
How about
break.
you come down here and join me one day and get you some of this, right? And that'll help you get to a root cause real quick.
Yeah.
So you asked me what am I passionate about, and really that's one of them, which is we got to get our safety professionals to understand the importance of incident and accident investigations and moving beyond the easy answer. It's always easy to blame the guy, but the guys hear that too.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not immune to feelings and influence.
Right.
So if I'm gonna be the one to get blamed for everything, I'm just not gonna tell you anymore.
That's right.
And then we have real problem because we have latent risk inside our organizations that can lead to serious injuries, fatalities, damage to the environment, damage to assets, etc.
100%. I think a lot of what we do in safety, even though we learn it in school or we learn it in some classes or we learn it from our peers, we learn to take that easy way out. And listen, I'm not immune to have taken the easy way out once or twice myself, but I think you're right. When we get lazy and we don't do our job when it comes to accident and incident investigation, we teach people or we always blame the worker, or it's this dude did something wrong, or they didn't do something in sequence or whatever. People do learn to not tell us about stuff, and that's the worst place that we can be as an organization, is people not telling us, right? Now, do I think that there's a place for some type of progressive discipline in a organizational structure that may somehow be related to safety? Yeah, but that's an HR function.
Right.
Okay. Safety, our job is to keep workers safe. Our job is to get to the root cause of an incident and try to change it so that next time it's different, right? Next time this iteration comes around for this task, it's different, and that doesn't happen again, right? Now, if there's somebody that's not following rules and procedures, and it can't be corrected with not more training, but us trying to change the system.
Look, about to get me fired up now.
All right, I'm get you fired up. Bring it.
Look, there's a difference between someone making a mistake, okay, and somebody that doesn't care. There's not a safety management system in the world that can create countermeasures for people that don't give a damn. And there are people out there like that. And sometimes when you hear folks talking about HOP and they're on the other side of the fence, and they're like, you don't know the guys I work with, James. These people just don't. That's a leadership function. I'm not saying there are no bad apples. There are bad apples. And part of HR's function is getting the bad apples off your team. What I'm talking about, and I know that you're talking about, are those people that come to work to do a good job. Nobody comes to work to die. Nobody
Right.
comes to work to get their fingers amputated.
Honestly, even the bad apples don't come to work to get their fingers amputated. But, you know, you can't have them in that system, and that's not a safety function, right? That's an HR function. We can remove them from the system, but you know, discipline and all that other stuff has to come from the HR, because what we should be doing is trying to follow that rule that nobody comes to work to get hurt.
Right. Before I discipline anybody or recommend discipline for anybody, because it's a function of HR, you have to ask yourself why this person did what they did. Coming from the premise they came to work to do a good job for an honest day's pay. Why weren't they wearing their PPE? Don't stop there. All right, we all know they weren't wearing it. Is it too small? Does it get in the way? Is it ineffective? Did they just mind off somewhere else?
Did they not have time because somebody underbid the job and they had to do it in 2 hours versus what it took, which is 3?
So now we're getting into procurement and planning. If you don't address those issues, it leaves latent risk, and it will rear its ugly head at the most inopportune time for us all, right? So I'd say dig deeper into incident accident investigations beyond just a single root cause. There are a lot of different theories out there. You got to match the theory to the incident, but in most cases, there are multiple influencers that led up to an incident.
Totally
in my
agree.
humble opinion.
In your humble opinion, you're a nice lady.
I'm a nice lady.